Hi everybody, welcome to Saturday Night Live Art Shows. I'm Mary Ann Benoit with Northern Lights Home Staging and Design, and I'm coming to you from Seward, Alaska. Uh, every week I come and do a Saturday Night Live Art Show, and I show you something like this room behind me that I've designed as an interior designer. It's what I would call an e-design. It's electronic, so it's not a real room. It's one that I have created and put together on my computer. And I also show you pieces of art that I have also created on my computer. It's digital fractal art. Fractal art is like sacred geometry, kind of an expression of what energy might look like if you could see it. And then I show you how, I created these art pieces and then I put them all together and I created this room. And so I thought, maybe you might be curious, like, well, how does all that stuff really happen? What's this process? It might seem like a little bit of magic that happens, and I think of it like that. But tonight I thought, well, I'll just kind of show you, like, how did this room come together? How did I actually do this kind of thing? So, to start off with, when I create art, most of the time, I would say I don't necessarily have a plan in mind. I might have an idea, like an energy concept or something that I want to work with, but most of the time I'm experimenting and I'm creating things and I keep creating things, and eventually I create something that I like. And then after I've done that, I start to look at that and say, what exactly is that piece saying? What does this mean? And I allow kind of the inspiration to come to me and then become what it wants to become, if that makes any sense. So the art is not planned, it happens and it becomes what it is. So for example, this week I started off with, I created this piece. And at first I thought, this piece reminds me of expansion. It seems like it's energy expanding out into the world, into the universe. And at first I thought, well, that's what I'm going to call this, expansion. The concept of expansion is important. I have a teacher, his name is Jim Fortin, and he always talks about expansion as something that it basically means making a person's life better. And if you are out there in the world doing whatever it is you do with an open heart, and you're doing what you're truly meant to do, then you're creating expansion or a better life for other people. And that is the thing that people actually want to pay you for. And so waking up each day and saying, how can I serve or create expansion for somebody else today, is the perfect way to find business and be able to make a living. So at first when I created this piece, I thought, this reminds me of expansion. It seems like energy that's radiating out into the universe. And that's what I had planned to do, is call it expansion. And then I was playing around with this file, because once I created something, I can modify it, I can change pretty much any aspect of it that I want. But I felt like I'd like to keep all the same colors and a lot of the same texture and details and things about it. But I'm just going to play around and see if I can come up with some different shapes. And so I created this heart. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. And I played around a little bit more. Let's see, I created another heart, and maybe I don't have that on here to show you. But after I created this heart, I really liked the way it was all this light in the center. And I thought, that's kind of related to what I was talking about, that concept of expansion, that if you're truly doing what you want, what lights you up, what's important, and is the thing that you want to be doing in your heart, that's the thing that you can do to create expansion in other people's lives. So I felt like these two things went together. And even though at first I created the other piece and was going to call it expansion, then I created this piece and I hadn't really come up with a name for it yet, something like, from the heart or whatever. It occurred to me after a little bit that the two things should go together. And so what happened was I created a mosaic of the two together, and I don't think you can see this whole thing, but I put the heart on top of the expansion piece, and the two together I thought were perfect. And it actually, the meaning of both when they were together, I thought was really interesting, because the heart shows all these radiating lines coming out from it, as if you're doing what you're meant to do, and you're doing what you love to do, and it's coming from your heart, that radiates out into the world and creates expansion for other people. And when you do that, what happens is people want to pay you for what you're doing. It brings back abundance into your life. And if you notice, this piece has radiating lines up, and it also has lines coming back to the heart. So putting these two things together was an experiment, a mosaic. And one of the reasons I did this is because there's another artist, Siglinda Van Dam. I'm not sure if I said your last name correctly, and if not, I apologize. But she often says things like, reimagine what's possible. And so for me, that was inspiring, because I thought, I'm going to put these things together. I'm going to reimagine, I'm going to create a new piece out of two other pieces. And so that's what I did. And this new piece I called A Heart of Gold. And it's all about creating expansion for others to attract abundance back to your life. And then, because I often like to work and create things in threes, I decided to create two other pieces that would go with this. And the reason I do that is because in design, there's the, it's kind of a rule of threes. Like when you put three things together, it's pleasing to the eye. If you only put two things together, like accessories or objects on a table, for example, there's something that will bother you, because two is not a good number. Three is like the magic number. And so I often like to create three pieces of art to put, on the wall behind a sofa, for example. And so I thought, okay, I am going to create two more things. First one was this. And so a lot of the texture and the colors and everything is the same, but the shapes are different. And although the other piece had this energy radiating out or expanding, this one looks like the energy is actually going inside. And so I thought to myself, okay, well, this is energy in the opposite direction. And so I called this one Journey, because I felt like going the opposite direction, instead of expanding your energy out to the world to make life better for others. In this case, it's putting your energy inward, taking an inward journey to get to know yourself better. And this is something you can often do by taking some time for silence, like take 4 hours of silence. Stop all the monkey chatter and allow yourself to be still and listen to your own inner voice and see what happens. And so I created this piece and called it Journey. And then the third piece I created looks similar to that. And I also called this Journey number 2. And so from that, I could create a triptych or 3 pieces of art above a sofa in a living room or any kind of room, or I could take the heart of gold piece and make it the centerpiece, and then take one of these other pieces, Journey 1 or Journey 2, and create another piece on the wall, or use it in fabrics on a pillow or a bedspread or whatever I decided to do. So I decided to put a room together, and the room that I created was this one here. And so I created a living room, and I decided that I would make a heart of gold the centerpiece and just put it by itself. Here's another view of that, and you can see heart of gold over the sofa as the main centerpiece of the room. Then I decided what I wanted to do was to take Journey number 1 and put it on another wall. And in this case, in this room, I did not use the other piece, Journey number 2, but if I wanted to, I could have done something like used it for the fabric on it. I created some pillows and put them on the sofa on one of those chairs. And so this is kind of how all the things tied together. In this case, I created this room. The background is very neutral, the dark charcoal color. I was really trying to make the room pretty neutral, the paint, the furniture, so that the art is the main thing that would stand out. And I guess when you think about all these things together, the way I see this is this room creates a beautiful energy to help remind you of some things. And some of the things that I take from it are that the first step in creating, like, say, abundance in your life or a beautiful business that makes you happy is getting aligned and figure out who you are and what makes you happy. To do that, you need to take that journey inward to get to know yourself and find out really who you are, what you're aligned with, what you're meant to be doing. And once you've taken that inner journey and you understand yourself and what that is, then you can use that and radiate out the things that you love to do and are meant to do to the world and help other people. And once that happens, that's what will bring abundance back to you. And all of that is what you see in a heart of gold. So this room basically is expressing the energy of what it's, it's a reminder to get to know yourself, find out who you really are, and share that with the world, and that creates abundance in your life. So that's kind of like the saga of these pieces of art, how they came together, how this room got created, and what it all means and how it could be meaningful to you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little journey into my roundabout way of thinking and how these things come about. And they're not always the same, but it's often a similar process. So anyway, thank you for listening, and please stop by and visit some of the other artists for Saturday Night Live art shows. They're all amazing.